Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is a very special video because today I am taking up work again on a project that I haven't touched in a couple months now, after having moved into my house and everything and getting everything set up over there. This is a new project I'm introducing you guys to, and it's one that I've been working on for a long time, and I'm excited to share with everyone. I kind of want to do an informal just documentation of the entire process from here on out. I have some video clips of me disassembling the car to get it to the point where it is now, which is on a DIY rotisserie that I made out of wood, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. Yeah, I haven't done too much filming or anything up until this point. Now that I'm getting to the point where I'm actually starting to restore the car and put it back together, after having it stripped down to just a shell, I want to document it more, share my progress, share my efforts and what it takes to restore a car like this. So you might not be able to tell, but this is a 1998 or 99. I can't remember the year, but this is a Mark III Volkswagen Jetta that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace like a year and a half ago, and it had a running VR6 engine in it, which is what I mainly wanted the car for initially. It was just so I could swap the engine out of that into my Mark III.5 Cabrio that is my daily driver. Long story short, I did not end up doing that after I got this car here and got the engine running. I decided that I like the car enough to where I think I just want to do a full restore on it, full resto mod. So, you know, months and months later, here we are now. The car's completely stripped down to the bare shell. It's taken a lot of work to get it to the point where it is now. So I'm just gonna go through real quick, show you guys around the car, how it's now, what I have set up, what this big plastic screen behind me is, and I'll give you guys a little quick tour and a little update of what I got going on so far. Also, I forgot to mention that everything I've done to the car up until this point has all taken place inside my mom's garage, which is why it looks different than the garage you've seen in my other videos, which is my garage at my house. Everything before that I've done to this car has been inside my mom's garage. So that gives you an idea of what I've been working with. All right, you guys are gonna have to excuse the mess. I haven't been working in here in a long time, so I haven't cleaned it up in a while. But again, inside my mom's garage, we'll start with this big plastic booth here. So this is basically a DIY paint booth that is right now just a sanding booth, so that the rest of the garage doesn't get super dusty. That I made pretty much out of just this this plastic sheeting that I hung up from the ceiling, taped it to some like 1x2s, and then screwed it in, trying to use as few screws as possible. But that's keeping it up. Duct tape on the seams, then also duct tape to the floor. And then for ventilation, I have these two intake fans here that are just cheap box fans that I got from Home Depot as well. And then it goes downdraft into these two outlets here that are also, you can't see, also filtered, but there's little boxes where filters can go. So that's been very helpful and allowed me to get the car to the point where it is now, to where I've been able to completely sand the bottom of the car and get all of the undercoating off and get it down mostly to bare metal. You can kind of see some spots where it's still got some primer on there, but I'm gonna go through one more time and really clean everything up here. But the hardest part was getting rid of this black stuff you see here. It was like thick, foamy, I don't even know what this was, but it was super hard to get off. I had to use the angle grinder and slowly grind away at all that, and it took a couple days, so it was not fun. And right now it's very dirty in here because I also had purchased a sandblaster. It's over there, and I was testing it out, and I was able to actually blast this one piece here, and it came out like amazingly clean. So you can see like the abrasion is like perfect. It's all very consistent right now compared to like the blotchiness that the angle grinder does with the wire wheel on it. So that's pretty much where the bottom of the car is now. How the car is sitting like this sideways is with the jig I mentioned that I made earlier. So it's not my idea. I stole the plans from a guy on YouTube. I'll put I can't remember his name right now, but I'll put the link to his video where he did it. I think he was working on like a Camaro or something. And he made his out of wood, and that was a perfect inspiration because I was looking for like weeks and weeks and trying to figure out how to, I didn't want to buy an actual rotisserie because they were like $1,000, but I was able to make this for like a couple $100, not even like, maybe like $200 out of just wood, and then like some scrap wood I had laying around, and it's been holding the car up like this for a couple months now, so it's done its job. For the rest of the car, so it's literally just the bare shell right now. This is the bottom of it. I'll walk across over here, show you the top. So everything is stripped out, all the interior. I already went ahead and did all the sound deadening, got that removed. That was very annoying. Actually, it wasn't too bad. I used dry ice. I poured it on the floor and it chipped away, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, it took me a long time to get the car in here, get everything stripped out. I have pretty much all the parts for the car sitting in a storage unit. They've been there for a little bit now. So yeah, just getting the car to this point to where it has nothing on it and in a state to where I can now stand inside of it and continue stripping it down and fixing any rust that's, spider webs. Fixing any rust that's happening in here. A lot easier than how it would be if it was just sitting on the floor. Or if the car was sitting on the floor normally. It's now at a point to where I can hopefully go through and knock out the rest of this, just stripping it down and getting it ready for just a base coat of primer. I actually haven't been back here in a while. It's like super dirty. There's a bunch of spider webs and everything on it. But yeah, this is the car. The frame or the body is not in terrible condition at all. I think there's like one dent on the back fender over there. But as far as rust goes, there's really not a lot of rust. I'm seeing like, you can see a little bit of here bubbling on that top part. But you know, the top of the car is there's really not too much rust at all. The main place where there was rust were these floorboards. You can kind of see some here. But that's no big deal. That's just surface rust mostly. So just knock that off with a wire wheel real quick, and then we'll be back in business. But yeah, on the bottom side, which is what I'm working on now, we've got a couple spots like here where those pinch wells are. Those are bent, so I'm gonna try to work on that today, try to get those straightened out. Also, some places I'm going to have to weld in more material. Where did it go? Oh, here. You can see where it was rusted through here. And these are like these little holes there and there, here and here. They're like, I think they're supposed to be like drains, but the little drain plugs they had in there were covered with the undercoating stuff. So really no water could get out, but there was a hole for water to just like pool in there. So I'm guessing that's why most of the rust has accumulated in those sections. You could also see some, looks like, yeah, veins from more rust forming. And this might have been getting worse because it's been sitting kind of exposed for a little bit, but it doesn't get too humid in the garage. So I think that's why it's been pretty much fine for the most part, sitting kind of like bare metal for a little bit in the garage, but it's in this enclosure, I think has been helping a lot. So yeah, but my goal is basically to finish cleaning this up. I stopped because I hit a roadblock, or at least what I thought was a roadblock, when I was doing these wheel wells. And remember, this is after doing literally the entirety of the underside of this car with a wire wheel. I was tired of it, and so trying to get into places like this to take all that undercoating off, and like the small crevices with the big angle grinder like up there and then down here was getting very annoying, and I decided to take a break for a little bit, and I started doing some other stuff. But I am back with more motivation, and I also have a new tool, which I'll show you in a little bit, that I think will make getting into these little crevices and cleaning that up a lot easier. So the plan right now is just to go ahead, finish getting the rest of the undercoating off, clean up the rest of the bottom of the car, so I can go ahead and actually put the epoxy primer on that I got for it. I'm gonna be doing Raptor liner on the bottom of the car, So I already have the epoxy primer. I already have the wrap liner kit. So we should be good to go as soon as I finish doing all that stuff. And then there's also the spot that I showed you that needed to be welded on the bottom. So I have to learn how to weld too to figure that out. So my main motivation right now is to get this car out of my mom's garage because it's been sitting here way too long. And my mom loves me and she hasn't complained about it at all, but I would be annoyed at this being in here for so long. So I want to get the bottom finished up so that I can, I mean, literally I just have to go ahead and paint it pretty much after I fix these tiny spots that needs to get welded in, fix that up. Then after all that, I can just prime it and Raptor liner it. And then I should be good to go to start putting the suspension back on, or rebuilding the suspension at least, which is just repainting the subframes, the rear and front, and then, you know, putting some new bushings on it to freshen it up. And at that point, I can go ahead and put the wheels back on and at least tow the shell over to my garage so it can sit there and it could be a lot easier to work on. Okay, so now you guys are kind of caught up. First thing I'm gonna be doing is not to the car. I'm gonna be patching up my paint booth because I cheaped out on the duct tape because I had used so much of it, and it's slowly, I guess, in the heat has been melting and falling apart. So I gotta patch these things up. I gotta put my little filter frame back in and seal up the fans over there. I think there's some holes in them, and then seal up some spots at the top where it's detaching from the little wood. But yeah, just sealed up I'm gonna seal up the bubble again so that I can turn the fans back on, get it working again so that I can start sanding these last few spots that I have to sand. And then I'll show you guys that. Okay, so I went through, made some rough patches with the better duct tape. It's not perfect. I just went and tried to seal as much as I can up so that I don't get any dust leaking out of here. Well, you know, it's just duct tape and plastic, so can't really be that perfect. But I think the next thing I'm gonna do is try to get some of this sand off the floor, sand and dust from when I was sandblasting this section. The only thing about the sandblasting, it left a really good finish, but it was extremely, extremely messy. And I think that was mostly due to the fact that I didn't have, that was the first time I was using the sandblaster, and I don't think that the settings were really dialed in because it was kind of just spewing out, I think, more sand than it needed to, because it's like it dumped all this sand on the floor only when I was doing this tiny, tiny section. And I think it could definitely be a little cleaner than that. But that's, you know, something I'll come back to if I think I'm going to want to sandblast the other side of the car. But yep, I'm gonna go through and sweep the floor now. Try to clean this up a little bit because I don't want to be working with all this stuff on the floor. All right, guys, so I swept up all that dust and sand that was on the floor from sandblasting and some of the leftover undercoating. So now it's pretty much at the state that it was when I was actively working on it. So I didn't get as much as I wanted to do. I didn't get as much as I wanted to done today, but that's good. The work area is clean now, so next time I'm in here, I can just come in and just start working on it immediately, which will save a lot of time. I wanted to at least test out my new tool on these areas over here, but that's okay. I'll just do it next time. So this is a pretty short video, pretty uneventful, but you got a brief overview of what my big project is and how I got to this point. And, you know, now we can actually jump in and get to working on it and, you know, finishing up the bottom here. So one last thing I forgot before the video ends, I'm going to show you guys how the airflow in this thing actually works and how it like kind of expands. And you can see the positive pressure when you turn the fans on. Thank you guys, as always, for sticking around and watching. And if you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe so you're up to date and you don't miss out on the next video, which is pretty much just going to be me finishing sanding off the rest of the undercoating that's left here, and then also trying to knock out some of these dents up here. And then also like a mini review on the new tool that I got. It's like a handheld sander, a belt sander that I got from Harbor Freight. So I'll be showing you guys how that works when trying to get into these tighter areas here. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.